Hello, small groups. This week was the beginning of a new series for us as a church as we enter into this season of Advent. Can you believe we're already in December? We have called this series The Coming King. And I was speaking about how Advent is often a time of amplification. You know, everything ramps up, we get more busy, we eat more, there's a whole load more stuff going on. For some of us, it's a season of feeling more lonely or maybe more grief. It's not always the happiest season for all of us. And I talked about how this is a season of amplification of things ramping up, whatever your circumstances might be. But it's also a season for us to fix our eyes on the coming King, the one who has come, the one who will come, and the one who still wants to come into our lives today, to break into our lives. And as such, as well as it being a time of amplification, Advent is a time of anticipation for when he will come again, and being expectant of all that he wants to do in our lives today. And I looked in the Old Testament prophet Micah in chapter 5, verses 2 to 5. Maybe have a look at it in your group and see what you make of it. Micah starts in these verses by prophesying that it is from Bethlehem, the place where King David was born, that the Messiah would be born. And of course, as we know the Christmas story, Caesar Augustus, he starts the census, and Mary and Joseph leave Nazareth and they have to go to Bethlehem to have Jesus. And as such, the prophecy is fulfilled. And then Micah goes on to talk about the shepherd king who was going to come and rule and reign. And this shepherd would be very different to any kings and rulers that Israel currently have. You know, Ezekiel, in chapter 34 of Ezekiel, he talked about these bad shepherds, the bad rulers over Israel that had led the people astray and who had exploited them and not looked after them. And as a contrast, Micah draws a picture of the shepherd king, the coming king who was a shepherd, who would shepherd over his flock. And we talked about how this has parallels with Psalm 23, where David, the king, who was a shepherd, praises the shepherd king. And from looking at Psalm 23 and then in John 10 and in Micah, you might want to have a finger in each bit of those Bibles, a lot of Bible in there, there's some reassurances that we can draw from what it is to know the Lord, to know Jesus as our shepherd king. Firstly, that he is with you. The reassurance of his presence. Secondly, that he knows you. You know, shepherds knew their sheep really well. And he knows you and is for you. And then thirdly, he fights for you. I spoke about how in Psalm 23, I'd never realised that the rod and the staff were different things, and how the staff is to help guide the sheep, but the rod was a big thick thing that was used to fight off any wolves that would come. Jesus fights for you. He overcame the work of the enemy. It was like a rod to the wolves as when he died on the cross for you. That reassurance, the coming King is our shepherd, that he is with you, he knows you, and he fights for you. And my hope and prayer is that deep reassurance of knowing Jesus as your shepherd king would bring you peace this Advent. Have a lovely evening.